everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. Am I loud enough? I don't know. If you ask dead people if I'm loud, I don't know. They probably wouldn't know anyways. But
you're so loud, you're echoing.
Oh, that's okay. I like that. They're my echoes of the deep. All right, we're on fire tonight, man. And I even look a little decent on technology because I finally got this introduction right. Boy, goodness, thanks to Candy Eveling. Well, this is another edition of Sports Exchange. We follow Pundit's Pundit. And I have myself a baker's dozen today. No, not Baker Mayfield, but my dozen. Oh, the one-liner is going to come out fast and furious, you bet. So, with that said, let me introduce the crew. To my left, Candy Ebling. Welcome back to the big show.
Thanks, Scott. Great to be here.
And Jacob Christner, no relations to Jesus Christ. Okay, welcome back.
Oh, well, I've been kicked off of a few. Message boards because when I put J. Chris, they thought I was playing religion.
Well, what is that called? Theology? Forget it. You don't want to know.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. And Denzel Snipes makes an appearance here on the doubleheader. He gets 3, but now round 2. Denzel, welcome to the big show.
So I had to kill a spider in my. Show. Well, actually, no, I didn't kill the spider. He walked away because I told him I was going to call Eddie Brock. So my apologies for being a tad late, but I'm here.
That's all right. Well, Spider-Man, get the hell out of here. You're not invited to this show. All
Eddie
right.
Brock. Nice joke.
And JBLS.
What's going on, people?
Oh, we're having a good old time with my new man cave here, otherwise known as a studio, and all this technology I know nothing about, and I'm learning quick. And last but not least, Smoking Jeremy. Oh, he's going to be a busy man the next 2 days, aren't you, Jeremy?
Yeah, 3 actually. Yeah. That being said, I have to give a shout out real quick. I got to say hi to Mia and Alex. They are in Arizona.
Good stuff. Well, there's your shout out. I should go ahead and say rest in peace, Willis Reed. You did the New York Knicks proud during the 70s, winning championship to a pair of titles. All right, well, Confidential will follow us, so I'm going to hit these topics out rapid fire. Boy, can I get louder? I don't know. Who cares? We'll know in the next 40-some-odd minutes anyway. So, with that said, we'll go to our starting shots. Cuba bullpen catcher Ivan Prieto defects from the national team after Cuba was crushed by the United States of America, 14-2 in Miami. It's the first time that it's ever happened in the WBC. No, not the World Boxing Championship, but the WBC. Oh, I had to get that boxing thing out because Ellis sent me a boxing writer earlier. But I'm totally surprised that it hasn't happened before. With that said, okay, Jacob, what are your thoughts about that?
Oh, Lord. The biggest thing about this is if there was one thing, okay, we're going to bring a teensy bit of politics in this one, teensy. Is like one thing Obama did do right, I have a belief, is trying to get Cuba, trying to open up Cuba. It's like maybe you could have done something else because right now, right after Cuba was closed up again, now you got these kids doing this again. You got people that are having to try to defect. They're having to try because there's ones that try to get. Remember, it's 90 miles from Cuba to Miami, so they're all trying to get over to the United States of America. It's only 90 miles away, and they're risking their life. This is a perfect way. To. Well, you could still be risking your life, but it's a little safer. So we're going to see more of it. We're going to see more of it, and you got to remember what caused it in the first place. Fidel's gone. He's been gone for a few years. Fidel's gone. We're going to see changes with Cuba eventually, so it's going to be a more open country. It will happen in the next 5, maybe 10 years. But we're not going to even have to do this thing anymore. But until that point, this almost ended, and then it's closed back up again. And see, that should not be a partisan issue. It's like it is time to get some freedom into some certain parts and be able to make sure they don't have to risk their life to come over here.
Denzel?
I agree with Jacob on this one. Cuba's always kind of been in the state since the rule of Fulgencio Batista, to which Castro overthrew him, and then Castro had his reign. They actually played in Miami for the first time since the beginning of Castro's rule in Cuba. But I'm thinking grand scheme here, and I'm thinking that more and more of these guys are looking at what these players in the United States are getting, because the MLB is just taking them. They're just snatching them up internationally. You look at Ohtani last night and the whole tournament, right? you're going to start seeing these down teams in the major leagues, and they're like, you know what? We're going to start to look nationally. If that means some guys are coming from across the water from Cuba, from a worse situation to a better situation, hey, we'll take them on. The Miami Marlins, they need the help. You think they wouldn't take a guy like that on? So I agree.
Well, the Miami Marlins play in Little Havana, so there's no shortage of identifiability there. They don't have a nightlife around there, and unless you want to have a lot of Cuban coffee and a lot, I mean, because I'm not criticizing the area. I'm just saying that they built that stadium down there because it was in the Little Havana district. And by the way, that stadium used to be on the site of the old
Orange Bowl. Yep, sure
and they
did.
got a sweet deal for it. But JB,
Listen, I'm never going to fault someone for trying to make a better life for themselves.
right?
If he felt coming to the United States was best for him and his family, all the power to him. I love our country. I had the opportunity to be at Dave DeRoche's golf fundraiser on Monday, which was for a lot of veterans groups, who fought to keep our country as great as they are, so that, people can come here. We're all immigrants in one way or another. So, if someone defects to the U.S. and risks their life and puts their family's life at risk for doing it, listen, I understand. And, that's what this country is made on and built upon. And I can nothing but, I wish him the best of luck. And I'm sure it's a financial decision, but there's also, I'm sure, other reasons as well.
Jeremy.
There's been so many players that have defected from Cuba over the years. It's nothing new. Yeah, he's a great player, and he's going to make a better life for himself here playing in the MLB because there's way more money being made than there is playing for the Cuba national team.
Right.
So kudos to him for getting out of there. That's all I got to say.
Candy.
Kudos to him. The only thing I would say is that I hope he becomes a good citizen. And, we have we can go a lot of different ways, and this is a sports show, but if you're going to come to our country, I want you to be part of our country, which also means becoming a citizen, paying taxes, and doing all of that as well, not just living here and living off the dime, off the government or anything like that. And, we live down here in South Florida. We see more of that, especially in my profession. I see a lot of different people, U.S. citizens, non-U.S. citizens. But I give them a lot of credit because, America is the land of the free. And, we have veterans that fought for that. And I'm grateful to every veteran there is out there.
Okay, now we're going to start. Go. All right, Jeremy.
No, I was saluting her because she said thank you for our service.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
I'm a vet.
I forgot something. All right, we'll continue the starting shots. We're going to go with Denzel Snipes.
Starting shots.
Meaning, what's on your mind, man? We get to talk about your topic.
I'm gonna bring a topic that we had when we talked about the XFL unionization and everything, just like not 10 minutes ago. But I want to shed a little light on the XFL in general. Now, people are quick to dismiss it by saying the obvious. First of all, listen, you sound like a broken record at some point. Okay, we know it's not the NFL. Okay, but the reason why I like the XFL is because number one, it gives these guys some place to go if they don't get drafted. Once upon a time, it was if you didn't get drafted, well, either you tried your luck as an undrafted free agent or your playing days were over. Well, now these guys got some place to go. But also at the same time, and after having watching it and attending an XFL game, people love to talk about, in the NFL, the scores are so high because they don't let them play defense. Well, I'm looking at the XFL and notice the scores are a little lower. They're actually letting them play defense. But then you want to shun them because they're not high scoring. So which is it? Do you want the high scores or do you want real football? That's all I got to say.
Okay, JB, why don't you comment on that?
So listen, this is, the XFL was built to fail. The NFL is so big, so no matter what, people are going to complain no matter what the XFL does. As long as they put a good product on the field, it'll last and it'll stay. Be honest with you, it's hard for me to get into it. There's no team in any of my markets where I am.
That's fair.
which is a bad thing because we're talking about two major cities, but I get it because it costs money to travel and try to build the league. So I get where they're coming from, but you're also shutting two of the biggest markets in the country. So, you have to see how that goes. But, I want to see the product succeed. No one ever wants there to be, less football. Football dominates the news cycle, so I would love to see it succeed.
Jeremy?
The only reason why it might succeed is the prices of the tickets are astronomically low compared to even college football. Right now, you can get season tickets on the 50-yard line at Ford Field for the Michigan Panthers or the what I don't know what the Philadelphia team's called, but either one.
That's USFL. They were talking about the XFL.
Oh, okay. Still, their ticket prices are lower.
Right.
I'm saying it's half the price of what a college team is, which is basically a third of the price of what a pro team is, depending on which school you're talking about. I'm talking about the average median, not the top ones and the bottom ones. So that being said, they should be able to get people to come to the games. It's not just one stadium where all 8 teams are playing against each other like it was last year with nobody in attendance. So it might actually work out for them. And now that they unionized and got a players union, that's going to be great for the players because they're going to renegotiate those contracts to where they're not making a penance of a pay for their, what is it, a 10 or 12 week plus the playoffs, right?
Okay. All right, Jacob?
Think about this for a second, Denzel. Think of the cities. You were talking about, and JB brought this up. He brought this up that it wasn't in the big markets, but think about this for a second. St. Louis, Arlington, Houston. Let's see. It has DC. There's a couple of them that are off of what I was saying, but 8 teams, correct, Denzel?
8.
There's 8 teams. 6 of the 8 teams, not either no state tax or little state tax. That is the thing. You go to LA or New York, it's the 11 and 14%. And that's probably a lot of where where they're thinking of trying to see where the money is going before they get to the marketing, to the bigger markets like that. It's like, Remember, no one goes to New York first or LA first. Got to remember that even the NFL was in St. Louis before it went to LA. Remember, it's hit LA. It left LA for a long time. It does. They make so much money. Yes, it doesn't matter now because they're making so much billions. You can just pay the tax or do whatever. Who cares at this point? But when you're a fledgling league, you don't want to go into the huge sales tax areas. So that's one of the reasons why you have that. But the thing about the XFLs, we talked about this tonight on Pundit. It's the fact that they want to unionize, and I know what Scott was saying about that. The biggest thing about it, though, is the fact, where do you get the money for all these players, for the medical, for all the stuff that they would have, for the perks that you're going to get? I mean, they had money to fight off the lawsuit, but because they had more money than Together. But are they going to have the money? Are they going to have the money to be able to do all those things later? They're going to have to raise that money. Better chance of Vince McMahon, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I know earlier, because Scott gave his commentary on the whole union thing, and I totally get it. Let's see where it is in a few years, right? But at the same time, keep in mind that this is a job. And we try to stress this to the normal average citizen. Find you a job that's going to protect you. There's nothing wrong with finding a unionized job so that if you know what hits the fan, you're covered. So you can't entirely blame them for going that route right now.
All right. The only thing I'm going to say about this whole thing, Candy gets the last word on this thing, and then she'll also mention the company information, is take this to the bank. Ready? Everyone, you heard me tonight. The USFL and XFL will merge in 2 or 3 years. Period. One spring football league, they'll merge, and then all of a sudden, see what happens. I believe that the way they're positioning these markets where they are, okay, I've seen it all too many times happen. Once upon a time, we saw the AFL and the NFL merge. This is exactly what you're going to have. And then watch the amount of television markets you're going to have involved. Right now, I believe Fox and NBC are part of the USFL. Then I believe ESPN is the ABC
That's
or
it.
the other one.
Yeah.
The XFL and the USFL will merge, I say, within 3 years. Period. All right, Kane, you get the last word. Mention the company information.
So let's talk about how much it costs to go see a game. If you buy season tickets, which are roughly 5 home games for the XFL, some teams are as low as $100. Single game tickets for most of them can go about up to like $40 a piece. That is still very reasonable compared to a lot of other sporting events. Let's face it. Even spring training games, I believe, are upwards $30, $40 for a ticket. Spring training games don't count. So can XFL let's face it. We all used to talk about, there was no football from February until start of, the NFL season. Well, there is football. It's just a different football. And yes, JB, I agree that you're not in all the markets. So some of the markets aren't as excited because they're not promoted as well in the markets that they're not. That would be where I would think the marketing needs to be better, because I think then people that are in this drought would watch more of those games. But I agree, Scott. I could see the 2 leagues merging. Okay, company information. If you would like to watch all of our or any of our shows, you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner? Hit it. Share us. Tell all your friends. Like it. Comment. If you want to be on a show, give us an idea. Send an email to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise, call Scott, 954-304-4941. Visit our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. And you can also listen to us if you like to listen to audio podcast, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you very much, Candy. All right, we go on to JB with your starting shot.
Leave it to Rob Manfredi and MLB to screw up something that was marvelous, the World Baseball Classic. This man cannot get a decision right to save his life. The World Baseball Classic is a huge success. And had they played it at the right time, either mid-season, you could have done it, make the All-Star break a little bit longer, or as soon as the World Series is over in the same location you played it, would have been huge. The draw would have been so much more than what you would have gotten had you played it in March against March Madness, the NBA, and the NHL. When you have your final game, Ohtani against Trout, with everything on the line, you've done something right. And then a couple of nights before that, for the U.S. to get to the championship game, took a miraculous Grand Slam home run. So, you had all the drama. You had everything that you needed to make this a huge success. But yet, MLB marketing, which is basically the pony behind this horse, screwed up as usual. Put this at the end of the year. Make the All-Star break a week and a half, 2 weeks. Play this. You can play, and if you do it at the All-Star break, you can play it anywhere. You could put games New York, LA, wherever you want, because the weather's nice throughout the country, rather than just playing in the spring training sites. But this has the potential to be a huge thing every 4 years. But MLB has to figure out the right way to market it, the right time of year to put it, and also they have to do a better job of protecting the players. What happened to Diaz was horrible. I don't blame MLB for that. It was at the end of the game he was celebrating, and it's horrible for the Mets. But they also have to do a better job at making sure the guys are ready for these games, and that may have played a part in why he got injured. But it's a shame, because this could have been something spectacular, but time of year and time and place.
Okay. All right, Jeremy.
He's absolutely right. I mean, he might as well had Fab Five ready calling those games. Just say it.
No, that's fine. Okay. All right. We'll go to Jacob.
I completely agree with JB. It's like, but here's the thing about Rob Manfred. He is scared to absolute death to face off against the NFL, that would be what he'd be doing if they give it at the end of the World, at the end of the World Series, and you have it the same position. And you're correct on that. But he's afraid to go up against the NFL monolith. But here's the thing about this for 1 second. You had Ohtani versus Trout for all the marbles. That is ratings. You want to know what you had in the first round with Miami versus Buffalo? Skylar Thompson. You know what you had at the end of the NFC Championship game? A completely broken down third stringer. What?
Josh Johnson.
Oh yeah, Josh Johnson, and then you had a completely busted already third stringer, and then a pretty good coach who didn't know how to deal with anything like this as far as his play calling, and he did the same 5 plays down the middle all the time, and that's what you had. This case, you have the stars, you have all of this. This is the best time now, especially while they are so afraid of their injuries and they put the third stringers out there. This is the time to be able to try and have a go-ahead against the NFL. I love what he said with that. Go against them and go at the end of the World Series. That's what you can do, because that's the best time to be able to get it. Go after them right now while you can do this and while you have Skylar Thompson in the playoffs.
I'll be honest, Jacob, though, I really love the All-Star break because you could move it like they do the World Cup in soccer.
Yeah.
You could play in a bunch of different stadiums. You could hit, 10 MLB parks, and, they get a game each. And you really don't have to extend it that much more.
Yeah. Oh, you're right on that. That's just the point I was just bringing with that is like you brought up like at the end of the year too.
Yeah.
I love that part. I just want to. That's the big thing. Is like if you hypothetically say they did something like that, I think Manfred's way too afraid to go up against the NFL. But I'm just saying the NFL is the brand name. There is nothing that is a draw about Skylar Thompson and Josh Johnson, or even Brock Purdy. There's nothing draw about that. There's a huge draw in Trout versus Ohtani, enormous.
All right.
So they have more of those out there too in the MLB. Manfred just has to know how to promote it and market it.
All right. The only thing I'll say about the thing is this, okay? Other sports have gone out there and tinkered with their all-star game. Hockey, for instance, will use, North American against the world format and, do different things. I like the all-star break myself, or a couple of weeks, just like the Olympic break. That's, I think, the best time. I'm with you there, JB. But the one thing that everybody's missing, although we haven't gotten to Denzel and Candy yet, okay, is this, okay? Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer did not want to play in the spring because they didn't want to run the risk of jeopardizing their season. The hitters aren't a big deal. You got to be careful with these pitchers, even though they like to play for their country, they want to play for their team. And by the way, that's kind of how they get paid. So, and hitters are one thing because they're using the World Baseball Classic to get ready for the season, but you don't have any easier things when you're dealing with $1 million arms. That's all I got to say. I know we want to move this thing along quicker to get you guys to confidential, so we'll be conscious of that. Candy, some thoughts about what JB had to say.
I agree that having it at the beginning of the season, like Scott said, there were a lot of players that didn't play because they didn't want risk injury and stuff like that. But let's be honest, you can get injured doing other things. Someone got injured skiing or snowboarding. Like, you can get injured anyway. But I do agree. I kind of like the break in the summer for the All-Star game because that way you aren't going up against all the other ones. You have, like you said, all the stadiums are there available at your disposal. I agree. And I think they really missed because I didn't see hardly any marketing for the championship game. Did I watch it? No. Did I know when it was? Not unless I would have looked to see when it was.
Well, we were putting this off as setup. Who the heck cares? I'm more concerned about what's behind me, not something.
I know, but I'm just saying, Scott, he's got a,
I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. I have a sense of humor. All right, Denzel, you got the last word on it.
If you want to be successful, you got to learn how to take risks. Vince McMahon took a risk in 1982 when he got the company from his father. He turned into a global phenomenon. That's just what billionaires do. Now, and speaking with commissioners here, there's also another factor that we haven't mentioned, maybe a small one, maybe a big one, but at the same time of holding it and competing with the NFL, at the same time period, there's also the beginning of the NBA season. So you got a lot of hooping fans also, So take that into consideration. However, I do agree is that he has to pull the trigger. He has to say, listen, we can reel in a great amount of viewers, even though the NFL season is still going on. Postseason, what have you? No, it's going to be like toward the stretch of the regular season and all. But Jacob is right. He has to market it right. And this is a global thing. This is not like, Major League Baseball is just here in the States and like two in Canada. Okay, no, we're talking Japan. We're talking Mexico. We're talking Korea. We're talking all the ones in the Caribbean. So this is a global thing. And maybe he has to make a few phone calls and get with some of the other heads in the other countries and say, hey, let's market this thing. Let's make it bigger than what it really is. So, yes, he can pull it off, but I will say this much. He has to collaborate with the foreign owners as well. So the ones, the Cuba, the Japan, and everybody else, he's going to have to get with them. Manfred cannot do it by himself, and he will not do it by himself. I'll guarantee that. He's going to have to get with them in order to pull it off.
Okay. All right. Next starting shot goes to Jeremy.
Wow, we have seen a plethora of moves being made by lots of teams, and I haven't seen a lot of overpaying going on, and I haven't heard anything about Lamar Jackson being traded yet off of that little franchise tag he got. Because it's not the exclusive tag, it's the transitional tag, where if somebody wants him, they can outbid that 32.5 and give up pick compensation to get him. And guess what? It won't happen till after June 1st, if it happens at all. I think he'll be a Raven, and he said if he's on the franchise tag, he'll sit out, let him pull a Le'Veon Bell, and he'll make less money next year.
Good point. All right, go ahead, Jacob.
The biggest thing that we have to see is the fact that, I see what you're saying, Jeremy. The biggest thing that has to be said is the fact that even though there is a lot of movement going on, even if there's not a lot of money, you got to realize there are some teams right now that just don't have the quarterback. And he's a difference. He is a difference. And it's like,
how many playoff wins in 4 years?
I get it. I'm talking about to a team that doesn't even make it is what I'm saying. It's just like the idea. You got to remember he's 46-15 as a starter. And it's like, I know you have one playoff win. I'm talking about just even getting there. There's the difference, and then there's some horrible quarterbacks in the league. So I think,
and the fact he's missed a season worth of games in 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely true. But I really believe that. Because there are bad quarterbacks in the NFL, though.
Yes, there are. There are
bad ones, and he is and we talked about marketing. He is a marketable person, and it's like I wanted to see him in Atlanta because I don't think Desmond Ridder is a marketable person. I sure as hell don't think Taylor Heineke is. It's like when I came here, that was right at the near bare end of maybe a year of from Michael Vick, when you used to see posters and banners all over the dang place. Atlanta doesn't get that kind of pull, so I would love to be able to see that again, but it's not going to happen. The biggest thing about it is the fact that there are teams out there that are a quarterback away. Doesn't have to say from the Super Bowl, because we already know what happens. And personally, to me, I have to blame Greg Roman for that. Greg Roman to play Lamar Jackson like Tecmo Super Bowl. He had to have the same 4 plays at all times. But
I blame management, front office.
Yeah,
they didn't give him enough weapons.
That's true too. It's like the biggest thing I look at with Lamar is the fact that there are not that. There are some certain star quarterbacks, but you got to remember that Skylar Thompson played 4 games this year. The third stringer. And I was happy for him because he came from a little farm town where his dad coached. So good for him, but he's not a star. The NFL, you got to remember, we just talked about a subject where Major League Baseball is starting to build. It has to learn how to build its stars, but it's got stars. If the NFL loses its stars, or if they continue to bring people up for a hangnail, then that's just going to make people bored. And then it's like Lamar Jackson is not somebody. I know he's missed his games, but he's still he's promotable subject, and that's the big thing. So yeah, I think he has gone from Baltimore. Where? I have no idea right now, but someone's going to bite.
All right. As time winds down in the next 10 to 12 minutes, a lot to get to, I'll do something I'm not used to doing, making my comments short and sweet. So this is the day that we'll probably go ahead and be marked in famey or infamy, whatever you want to call it. But anyways, I'll give it to you straight. Number one, Lamar Jackson's missed too many games. Two, the Baltimore Ravens are a shrewd organization, and Steve Bisciotti has one of the best reputations in the league. So the only thing that Lamar Jackson will be doing is eating humble pie. Period. Candy Ebling, go ahead.
Lamar Jackson to the New York Jets, because the Packers aren't going to give up on because the Jets aren't going to pay him enough. The Packers aren't going to then trade him. Therefore, he's going to retire. Jets need a quarterback. Lamar Jackson.
Finally,
they'll have the cap space because they've freed it up for Rodgers to come over there.
Okay, Denzel, you got the last word on this one.
Hey, what about
No, JB does.
I don't know.
I hear.
Go ahead.
I hear everything Smoking Jay saying, but you're wrong about one thing. JB Ellis believes that Daniel Jones is overpaid. So, with that being said,
I didn't say he was overpaid. I'm just saying if he gets that money somewhere else, he'll be overpaid. Because I think 32.5 is right for him with his injury history.
Okay. And I'll say this much, it's crazy. The more people deny it, the more it's true. With these storylines and whatnot, the NFL is becoming more and more like the WWE. Y'all want to know what the problem is with Lamar Jackson? Lamar Jackson, and we've discussed this on the gauntlet several times. Lamar Jackson wants Deshaun Watson's contract. He wants his contract. He wants that multi-hundred million dollar guaranteed money. Here's the problem. It's the Cleveland Browns.
Mm-hmm.
They don't set the standard for nothing.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson is half man, half amazing. But there's not any other team in the league that is going to give up that kind of money, especially considering his history. He's amazing, but he's not going to get that money. The Browns don't set the standard for anybody. That is what ruined the market. Go ahead, JB.
Really?
Yeah, there you go. Well, Denzel, you had the second from last word. Now JB Ellis gets the last word on this. Go ahead.
Nobody wants to do the work for Bisciotti and offer Lamar a contract that the Ravens are just going to match, unless they're going to offer something ridiculous to guarantee that the Ravens won't match. And the only team that is stupid enough and has the money to do that is the guys that are going after Aaron Rodgers. So they already proved that they're crazy. So it's Rodgers or Jackson to the Jets. Just a matter of who. And we'll wait and we'll find out.
All right, well, JB, it's your turn for your starting shot.
I did, Mike. The World Baseball.
You did, yeah.
Well, we're moving along, aren't we?
It's mine.
Oh, yours. That's okay. Go ahead, Jacob.
All right. I talked to an NFL player. This last week, and I was bringing up one of my subjects from my very first pundit point. Where does the media find the person they choose to hate or the way they choose to love? That was one of my very first ones. And he said it's all money. It's because he was in the NFL, so he could get this. It's all money. And so the biggest thing was, I agree with him. It was like, that's a long story short on that. I can see that right there. They would choose who they love and hate, who the fans slobber over, which JF. But the biggest deal with it is, where did this Anthony Richardson love come from? Where in the world is this coming from? All of a sudden, the third rounder, all the way to the very first pick. He was a 53% thrower. He is not a smart quarterback. There's nothing to him, but there is an agent out there somewhere who's just so good at his job that he makes me want to quit this and become an agent. Because I can go do that too. I can talk my way into that. I can talk my way into go get my end of the 10% of that kind of money. Because go find someone that's really, really bad and make them a first round. I think I could do that, because we're in the wrong business if this is the case. Because Anthony Richardson does not belong, and whoever takes him, especially at a top thing where you give him all that money, it's going to be Jamarcus. It's going to be Jamarcus Russell that goes to the gym. That is what it's going to be. It looks terrible. And it's like, what? And it's like, is this a political thing? Is this just a really good agent thing? Is this a Roger Goodell thing? I just want to know, because Anthony Richardson does not belong at the top. Nowhere close.
Okay, well, you know what I'll say about Anthony Richardson? He falls into the mobile type of quarterback, and that's where they're trending with this whole thing anyways. And I'll go ahead and say right now, without seeing a whole lot of film with him, well, Vogel might be honest. I think he's a little bit overrated. His body of work, I know he had a very tough Florida team. So, I don't know how he moved so far up, but in a quarterback desperate league, I can see why he's getting first round consideration. Well, we're going to do the rest of the show as Candy we'll go around the horn here, and then we're going to go to our sports song of the week. And then as we wrap up the show, Candy, you want to do your starting shot at the very end so we can cover the sports song of the week? Would you be all right, or you want to do yours quicker?
Mine's quick, so it's up to you.
All right, well, that's okay. Well, then you just go ahead and comment on Richardson.
I agree he's overrated. I don't know what's catapulting him. Overrated. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay. All right. Denzel?
Jamarcus Russell's only notable game in college was a Sugar Bowl win over Notre Dame, and we all know Notre Dame's record in bowl games versus the SEC. It wasn't saying too much. Richardson doesn't even have that. So I agree with y'all. I don't understand the hype. This is like when Jamarcus Russell threw 60 yards on his knees. They're like, oh my God, he's amazing. You see how that turns out? They need to be careful with this one. I'm not saying the guy ain't good, but he might not be as great already coming out but this is what the media does. This is American media, y'all. Okay, hit and run media, as Jacob likes to say. You hype everything up long enough and get people on board. But when you do that, the bigger the disappointment. Stop it.
JB?
Listen, really simple. The guy set records at the combine. You all need to relax. He wasn't a football player his whole career. Give him a chance. Where did Brock Purdy get drafted? The last guy, Mr. Irrelevant. Calm down. Let's see what this kid does. None of us are making the decision. Let the media hype who they want. We're all the media. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Anthony Richardson is Malik Willis 2.0. Under 60% completion percentage, fast as lightning, arm like a cannon, but as accurate as a nuclear missile with no guidance.
I like it.
I don't know. Well, the one thing I'll say about Richardson is he's going to be a developmental quarterback no matter how you play this thing out anyways. If whoever drafts him, I would suggest that he sits as close to giving him a clipboard the first year and see what happens. All right. But that said, all right, Candy, let's have your starting shot, and then I'll get to the sports sound of the week.
My starting shot is really easy. Congratulations to the Wisconsin women's hockey team. They won the national championship. This is the 7th time, so they have the most championships in NCAA women's hockey. Last year they tied them Minnesota for 6, and this year they won the 7th national championship. They did it beating the Ohio State 1-0. A freshman scored the first period goal for Wisconsin. The goalie saved 31 shots on goal for Wisconsin.
Now that's
congratulations to them.
All right. You know what? In this situation, Candy's a Wisconsin authority. We'll let her have the last word on this because she's there. I do want to get to our Sports Sound of the Week segment. And this comes from the state of Tennessee. Memphis equals Grizzlies. Nashville equals Sounds. They're a top AAA draw and an eventual MLB city. The NFL's Titans and NHL Predators are hits in the Music City. Downtown is very vibrant. So with that said, you know what? I'm going to go left to right on this. Okay, yes, well, Vogel, great point. Tennessee Volunteers coached by Summit made it relevant. That's good because before these sports teams came, you had Pat Summit. So you know what? I'm going to go, Candy, you don't get the last word. I'm just going to go around and get everybody's thoughts about Tennessee being a good sports area. Go ahead, Candy.
Well, let the guys that got to have to go in a minute.
All right, that's fine. We'll do that. All right, Denzel, give me your thoughts about the Tennessee, Memphis / Nashville as a sports town. Where do you rank on a scale of 1 to 10? Knowing you have all these teams, are there any teams that you're amazed you are on? 1 to 10.
1 to 10. I'll give it about a 5. Don't get me wrong, they have success in the state of Tennessee, but when compared to a New York, a Florida, a Texas, or even a California, it's just not. Don't get me wrong, they have a lot of success, but I'm going to give it about a 5.
All right, Jamie.
Listen, you're talking about a whole state that runs, hours apart. Memphis is nowhere near Nashville. That's like saying Buffalo and, the Jets are neighbors, both the, New York teams. They're nowhere near each other. Different culture, way different cities. So, you can't really compare. Tennessee, they have good fans. In Memphis, they got great fans. In Nashville, they're all great fans. All fans are great except for those in Philly. James Tatum, that's for you. That's all I got to say.
Well, give me a rating, 1 to 10, because I'll tell you where I'm going with this. Number one, Green Bay has
it's hard to say because they're Memphis and Nashville are totally different cities in different parts of the state.
Yeah, but here's where I'm going with this. Okay, here's where I'm going with it. Okay, Green Bay has the Packers, and then you have Milwaukee with the Brewers, and they're considered the state team. And you have 3 major sports in that state. So when you compare the fact that you have the Predators, and you also have the
so you're comparing it to like Wisconsin, not as opposed to comparing to like New York or Florida.
Not at all.
California.
No.
Okay, so I would say it's about an 8.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Jeremy.
I actually lived in Tennessee for a while, and as a matter of fact, it was 1996 when the Titans came from Houston.
All right.
And you know what? It is a great sports state, but you can't lump all of that as one sports market.
No.
Because New York City is one sports market with 2 teams in the NFL. Buffalo is separate. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh separate.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Well, that's true, but I'm talking mid-markets here, okay?
Yeah, I understand it's mid-markets,
Right.
but on a scale of 1 to 10, if you go each individual city, it's 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, that's fair enough. And I lumped Charlotte, North Carolina in that because they have the hockey team in Raleigh, and then of course you have what do you have in Charlotte? You have
Basketball,
right, and
football.
Right. Okay. All right, fair enough. Again, I like to go off the wall with some of these things because they're smaller states that weren't even discussed many years. Okay,
I just had to see how you were comparing it. That's all.
No, not at all. Okay, go ahead, Jacob.
I lived 90 minutes from Knoxville for 6 years. It's out of a 1 to 10, it's about a 4.5 for the type of thing because it's all college. If you put the Volunteers on Sunday, churches would go out of business.
Okay.
If you put if you put the Titans on Saturday, they wouldn't even sneeze. It is a whole college. When I first got there, I said to myself, I'm not going to get into this football religion, as you see. I'm not going to get into it. Crap. Never mind. I said, crap. Because it's just intoxicating. There's nothing intoxicating about Tennessee professional sports. It's every bit college.
All right. Well, so what are you going to give it, a 3 or 4?
4.5. 4.5.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'm going to be much different than all of you. I'm actually going to be nice about it. I'll give it an 8 because many years ago, Tennessee wasn't even relevant, okay, at all in the sports business outside of the AAA Nashville Sounds that used to play away from the downtown area. I'm going to give it an 8 because, number one, the Memphis Grizzlies are the only team in town for the NBA, and the Predators are doing well. The Titans are doing all right. And you know what? Don't underestimate the Nashville Sounds. And I think Major League Baseball will make it a 4th major league sports state at some point. Candy, you got the last word on this.
I give it a 5.
Okay. And Denzel, you already gave me yours, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, you did.
All right. So, hey, we got it all in. My goodness. As Al Michaels would say, well, I say searching for a miracle. But
do you believe in miracles?
Yeah, I don't know. Searching for a miracle. Yes, we were able to get it all in, and yeah, we got it. So, all right. With that said, okay, I know Confidential's coming up in just a moment. So, we have a moment. Denzel, let everybody know how quickly they can get a hold of you.
NL13 NELLINEL13 on Twitter. Also, Confidential tonight. Gauntlet Friday nights. Basketball Sunday nights. Punt It Wednesday nights.
JB.
Sideline Sports at sidelinesports1.com and at JB_the program. I'm going to drop off, guys.
All right, no problem. Thanks, JB. I'll be in touch.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Okay, Jeremy, real quick.
Do Jacob first. He has to go.
Oh, that's right. Go ahead,
Do
Jacob.
do not ask. I have too much, but I can say at Jake the Pundit on Twitter, where I'm so shy you would not believe it.
All right.
I am also
Liar.
I am also got shows 5 to 7 days a week, and I am working on some movies right now.
Works for me. Short and sweet. All right, Denzel. Jacob, I know you got to roll. Thank you very much.
See ya.
Great show tonight. We'll be in touch. Thank you very much.
Jeremy B, real soon on one of our shows, man.
Yeah, just send me an invite.
Hey, no doubt. I got you, buddy.
And if you, I mean, I'm not as good at basketball as some of the other ones, but any of the shows.
Hey,
no
ask
doubt.
him. I felt it.
There you go. All right. Well, I know Denzel's got to get over to Confidential, so have a great night. All right. That leaves us with the three of us. So, Candy.
What's next?
What's that?
What's next?
I don't know. What's next?
Yeah, what's next?
Coming up tomorrow night, we have a double header here on the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network.
You don't say. Oh, that's right. I'm on both of them.
Yeah, you're double header. We have the Sports Exchange early, and then we'll fire up Wisconsin. So we'll get into that. Candy, why don't you close this show out here by letting everybody know how they get a hold of us?
Okay.
Smoking Jeremy B, were you going to say something?
Yeah, because I let everybody else go first so they could get out of here.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, there we go. Everybody can find me at the SouthFloridaTribune.com under the Motor City Tribune heading, where I am an editorialist and a consultant now. You can also find me on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, where at any time this Yahoo up there can call me in. I had to switch it because you were right above me. Now you're over to the other side.
That's all right. Well,
and then you can also find me on Facebook at Motor City at Motor City Kneecap Biters page. You can find me on the South Florida Tribune page. You can find me on Sideline Sports page. And on YouTube, you can find me at Kneecap Biting with Smoking Jeremy B, which is my podcast that I air on every other Wednesday and Friday till the season starts. And then it'll probably be 4 or 5, maybe 6 days a week. I don't know. I just go with the flow.
There you go. And also shout out to Will Vogel for his timely comments in the chat room. Good job, Will. And actually, Will Vogel will be on the Sports Exchange tomorrow night with us. So he'll be on tomorrow. So Will fits in very nicely when we need him, and have an opportunity to join us on the air tomorrow. So, Candy, wrap it up.
So, let's see. Where do I start? Come visit us on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. You can see Jeremy's writing, Scott's writing, my pictures. You can see any of our broadcasts. That red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, you want to hit it, you want to like it, you want to comment, and you want to share it. You want to go see all of our shows. At the end here, we'll play that little snippet that we did in the beginning so you can see all of our different shows that we have on our network. You can listen to our podcast if you like the audio version on iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can always sponsor us or advertise with us. Call Scott 954-304-4941. You can see us typically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday nights. Well, at least Scott. Tuesday nights, you can find me on Chicks and Salsa or 3 Chicks in a Pod. Let's see. What else did I forget, Scott? Did I forget anything? We're striving to get to 1,000 subscribers. So please hit that subscribe button. And if you like this show, watch all of our others or any of our others.
And folks, Candy Ebling puts it all together with the website, does a nice job. www.southfloridatribune.com gets the broadcast up there as well. So, meanwhile, hey, hi, Dom. Nice to hear from you, pal. So meanwhile, on behalf of Denzel Snipes, JB Ellis, Jeremy Ballreich, Jacob, and Christner, that is, and Candy Ebling, my name is Scott Morgan, Roth Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange, and we will be back at it tomorrow. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you on the next broadcast. Good night, everybody.
And viewers, don't forget, try every day to be a better person you were the day before, because that's the only way to make the world a better place.
Yeah, nothing like leaving the shows on a very positive note, and you do that very well, Jeremy. You're a huge contributor to what we're doing out here. Good night, everybody.